Welcome back to your Healing Buddy podcast with your host, Adina Godet. I am a licensed psychotherapist who enjoys having conversations all about the different areas of mental health. I pray that from every episode, someone takes at least one nugget and is able to apply it to their personal life. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy. Hey, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Adina Godet. I am a licensed therapist here in North Carolina, and we are back with another video. So jumping right into the topic, so many people have been telling me that they are struggling with a breakup that they've recently had. And the most common questions that I'm getting are, why is it so hard to let go? Why do I still think about them all the time? Why does it feel like I'm stuck? We have to understand that breakups are not necessarily just about losing a person, but really you're losing a routine. However long you guys were together, you're losing a part of your life in that time frame. So you were a certain version of yourself when you were with that person. You're also losing that. And whatever the future you imagine with that person, you're losing that as well. When people are struggling to move on, they feel like I'm weak, but in all reality, you're human, you're going through certain emotions. However, if you stay stuck in the past, that's going to be where your story ends, and that's not what we want. A lot of people also confuse moving on with acting like it doesn't matter. No, that's not the case. You have to process your emotions. You're never going to erase the person from your story or from the history, but you don't want to continue to be emotionally dependent on them. Not forgetting, it's not necessarily rushing, it's not pretending you don't care, it's emotional detachment. You can remember without being pulled back in. A lot of times it's really hard to detach because you're not necessarily just attached to the person. It was the feelings involved, the routine, it was familiar. A lot of times as well, people are holding on to potential and not the reality of the situation. Certain things were already red flags, let's be honest. And a lot of times we big people up in our head because we want them to match what we envision. A lot of times we envision certain things in the future with a person. For this future to happen, somebody has to come in and match the characteristics and align with what it is so you can get there, correct? So many times, instead of looking at the reality of what somebody actually is, and even if they're not a bad person, you may just not be compatible, but you're trying to fit that person in to be that for you when it didn't match. There could be misalignment, could be unmet needs. Somebody could be emotionally unavailable. The timing could be wrong. There could be growth differences, like you're in different places in your healing journey, or just in different places in life. Every relationship ends for a reason, even if it's not clear right away. Closure doesn't necessarily always come from them. A lot of times it has to come from you understanding what did not work and why it's probably not going to work. So let's go back to reality versus potential, or even we could say the truth versus a fantasy. Who did they show you versus who you hope them to be? A big part of moving on is detaching the two. I have a client who we recently spoke this past week, and she finally had a light bulb moment when I told her she keeps saying that she wants this person and she's really fighting for this person. And I had to say to her, it really doesn't sound like you actually like this person. It sounds like you're just trying to save face. And so she said, how do I not like the person? And I had to tell her that she has let me know that for the past 10 years, he has been emotionally unavailable. He never validates her feelings. Anytime there is a disagreement, he leaves the house. He's asked her for a divorce 5 times. She has asked for none because she wanted to fight for it. He's asked multiple times. That's a pattern. When he was upset, he gave her the silent treatment 4 weeks, would not sleep in the bed. He only texts and calls when he wants something or wants you to do something for him that's going to benefit him. But anytime you have a request or you call and text just to have conversation, there is no answer, no response. So it was just a lot of other things that I mentioned to her. It was a long list of things. And I said, the person that you actually want, take him out of it. Again, take him out of your mind, because right now you have him in your mind. You have him as, oh, I want him to do this. Okay. If you take him out of your mind, your standards and the things that you desire and want from a person, he does not fit the description. Again, take the attachment out of it. If this person is not fitting the description of what you actually want, then you don't want that person. You're just attached to the person. You're used to the person. So you're trying to force this person to be something that they're not. And also, I'm not saying somebody can't change. However, he has not, out of all the years, this person has not changed, has not shown you that they're willing to change, has not done any work to change. So they do not want to change. You cannot force somebody to change. So the reality of the situation versus the truth of the matter does not align. So instead of looking at the promises, instead of looking at the potential, what are the patterns? What's the cycle? Who are they consistently showing up to be? Trust what somebody is showing you, not what you want. The first step to healing is being honest about the situation and being honest with yourself. A lot of times, you're also still attached as well because of the actions that you're doing. After a breakup, you should not be on their social media. Oh, I don't want it to seem like we have a problem. Oh, what if the door opens back up? We have all these excuses. Why are you keeping up with them? You shouldn't be keeping up with them. If you're still emotionally tied to somebody, seeing them just pop up, checking their social media, keeps you attached. You're trying to replace you talking to them all the time with now just checking in on them, even if it's from afar. Cut that mess out. You don't need to be texting them here and there, checking in and what to know. If you know that you're trying to get out of that routine with them, you need to cut it off. Cut it off. Start building your own routine that involves you and you, not you and them. Stop comparing others to them. Stop hoping they'll come back. Stop looking at pictures and memories. Just put them away. And even if you have to hide them from yourself until you get to a point where you can delete them, do that. Sometimes you do have to take baby steps. You should not be going back and looking and basically hurting yourself, causing yourself pain by doing that. You have to have awareness to be able to detach. So if you're still mentally and emotionally tied to them, you just need to say that and be honest about that. Then you need to accept that it is over. Stop saying, maybe we'll get back together. What if it happened differently? Stop waiting for closure. Closure just gives you another excuse to try to talk to them. You don't really care why it ended. Let's be honest. You just want them back in your life. Stop holding on to hope. If it didn't work out then, take your emotions out of it and look at the logic. It's probably not going to work out. As long as you're holding on to hope, you're holding yourself back. Remove your triggers. If you still got clothes, if you know you can't listen to certain songs right now, watch certain movies, remove the trigger. Just don't do it. Why you keep replaying the same song that y'all used to sing to each other all the time? You're torturing yourself. Also, create distance. Distance isn't punishment. It trains you to learn how to live without them. Also, you have to process your feelings. Process does not mean ruminating though. Ruminating is when you're just looping over and over, asking the same questions over and over, replaying certain memories over and over. It's okay to grieve the loss. It's okay to be sad and angry and confused. If you do suppress the emotion and you don't end up feeling it, then you'll carry it and it'll come out later. However, processing is solution focused. You should not just be sitting around sad. Have your moments where you're sad. Give yourself some time every single day to feel away. But you also need to be doing something. You need to rebuild yourself, reconnect with yourself, rediscover interests that you had, or explore different interests that you can try. Focus on personal growth. Part of you was really invested in that relationship. Now it's time to reinvest in yourself. Who are you outside of them? And also learn from that. When you get into another relationship later on, because life moves on. When you get into another relationship, you won't make the same mistakes. Certain things you'll look out for. You won't lose yourself within anybody. Build a new routine. Build new habits. You also need to change your narrative. Reframe your sentences. Reframe how you're talking to yourself. Stop saying, oh, I lost them. And you need to say, I'm making space for what's aligned. Be happy that you get to rediscover yourself again. Be happy that you have a new chance for better opportunities and new things. It's okay not even to focus on a relationship right now. Look at how you have more time to focus on other areas of your life. Because I'm sure they were lacking because you were putting more focus into certain priorities. Closure comes within you. You don't need answers. You don't need an apology. You decide when things end emotionally. Closure is a decision you make. It's not a conversation. Waiting for someone to come and give you something keeps you stuck. You giving them the power. Also, take accountability for your part, but don't beat yourself up for it. Take it as a lesson. How would your relationships change if you embodied your own standards? Think about a standards list for yourself. We have standards lists for other people, which we should, but what are the standards that you have for yourself? Stop worrying about that relationship and worry about what you need to work on. Think of what kind of people you would naturally attract if you held your own standards. Think of the people that would be weaved out if you held your own standards. Also, when you work on your own standards and being the person that you would like to be, somebody that you are proud of, you don't just tolerate anything anyway. Think of what you can commit to starting to today. Relationship is in the past. Detach the future that you had with them and focus on what you can do for your future. And also, every single day, you need to be checking in with yourself, asking yourself how you feel, asking yourself what you could have done differently today that you need to do tomorrow, asking yourself if you did something that was in alignment with your goals for the day, making sure you connect with other people, your friends, your family. And I know some people don't have that, but making sure you're starting to build your hobbies, finding community in that way. Write out things that you're proud of yourself for every single day. And if you're not proud, you need to do something else. When you do think about that person, asking yourself, did we really align? Reminding yourself that if you actually aligned, you would still be together. Telling yourself that it's a decision to move forward and not stay stuck. Take ownership of that. Stop putting it on other people. I'm just sad. I'm just depressed. I'm just going through this transition. Okay, cool. But everything isn't about an outside force. Take accountability. If you don't want to be sad anymore, do the work to not be sad anymore about it. If you don't have the energy, take your vitamins. Point is, do what you have to do. Be solution focused. Losing one person does not stop your life, so you don't let it stop it. You can miss someone and still move on. You can love someone and still let them go. But at some point, you have to choose yourself. Remember, moving on isn't about just forgetting them. It's about finding yourself again and realizing your purpose outside of them. That is it, you guys. I hope this helps someone, and I hope this is a start for you to move forward. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.